And so like if you want to do big shit, it takes a way longer period of time, because the easy, the little hills, everyone conquers really quickly. And so like if you want to do something that most people can't do, literally just extend the time horizon on the things that most people can't weather.
What's your framework for quitting things and moving on to something new? How do you know when you're quitting because you're being a bitch?
Yeah.
And how do you know that you're moving on from something that's no longer worthwhile?
Man, so there's a handful of questions that I think everyone faces that you never know the right answer to. And so it's like, how much is the right amount to invest versus consume is one of those answers. Like if you consume nothing and you invest everything into it tomorrow, you end up with a life where you enjoyed nothing and then you have a big pile of shit.
Delayed gratification in the extreme results in no gratification.
Right. And so like these are rather than either ors, they're continuums, and so to be managed more than problems to be solved. And so I think just from a decision-making framework, that's number one. Number two is, so with regards to this one, which is, do you push or do you pivot, which is how I frame this question. Pushing, like, do I push through whatever this hardness is, and there's like something that's in sight that I think I can go to, or there are fundamental things that have changed that make my original hypothesis wrong. I won't quit if no new information has come to light. And so if I say I'm going to do this based on these assumptions, if those assumptions have still held, then it's a push situation. If there's new data that's come to light that changes the nature of why I'm pushing, or the outcome for what I'm going to get from pushing, or the way that I'm pushing is incorrect, then I would quote quit. Quitting has a lot of heavy terminology in, I'd say personal motivation masturbation.
Pivot's much softer.
Right. Everything is a pivot except for stopping. Language matters a lot, and I care a lot about language. And so nothing is quitting unless you stop. And if you continue to pivot and you continue to push, either of those are activity. And so you will stumble upon something that does work, in which case do more of it. And so that has always been my frame, but I have an initial assumption or series of assumptions for a desired thing. So let's say I want to build my social media brand. I say, okay, I believe that if I make content about things that no one else can make content about, that is more higher level business stuff than is out there, because most of the YouTubers, not business people, there will be an audience for that. And in the beginning, I will have fewer people who follow it, but if I make really good stuff, over time, eventually people will tell people, and I will get better at making content, and that will grow. So if I'm at year 2 and do I have leading indicators? And so like even in business stuff, like I don't need the outcome, but are there leading indicators that are telling me that I'm on the right path? And so identifying ahead of time, just like we have problems that we identify, like, okay, if we succeed, like people are gonna recognize you in the street, you're not gonna be able to go out as much, or like all these are problems that I'm gonna have to deal with. Cool, I'm willing to pay for those. But what are the things along the way that will tell me that even though I haven't achieved Mr. Beastdom, that I'm on the right path? And so I think having those little indicators allow you to keep taking steps towards the ultimate thing and continue to push. I mean, I have a different tweet, which is that the world belongs to those who can continue to work without seeing the result of their work, continue to do without seeing the result of their doing. And it's really the person who can do that for the longest period of time. And that's usually because they're still getting leading indicators. It's just that it's amounting to a much bigger mountain. And so like if you want to do big shit, it takes a way longer period of time, because the little hills, everyone conquers really quickly. And so like if you want to do something that most people can't do, literally just extend the time horizon on the things that most people can't weather. There's so much opportunity on the other side of being willing to persist for an extended period of time on the correct path without getting positive reinforcement from your environment. And the longer you can stick with something without that positive feedback loop in terms of the big external thing, the easier the opportunities are, because so few people can pursue them. We were saying, so there's a lot of people say like do the work. And in Gym Launch, and it's continued into our stuff today, but do the boring work is what we call it. And boring is what makes you rich. The boring activities, it's the double checking the emails. It's writing the follow-up sequence that you really don't feel like writing. And honestly, just getting it done will make you significantly more money than not getting it done. It's following with a lead from a month ago and just being like, hey, by the way, are you still interested in that thing? It's the stuff that you don't want to do. Like no one's like, I can't wait to follow up with these leads that haven't responded to the last 2 text messages I sent. If you follow up to everybody, you will make more sales than if you don't.
Presuming that it's an effective strategy. Because there are ways that you can continue to chug away and do a thing with no positive reinforcement. But hey, guess what? That's the direction that you're supposed to be going in, and you're walking over there.
That's a push and pivot, right? Like if no one responds, then I would say I have 0 leading indicators. But if you have enough response rates, then it's worth the toil. So, I mean, Michael Phelps talks about this too with swimming, like just laps after laps after. Like he doesn't even have the variety of like different moves or different, like it's just laps, just sheer volume of work. And I I call it the Rocky cutscene, and almost every successful person that I have ever encountered has gone through not a month or a year, but many years of doing work without reward, where they have to do things that other people find boring, and they have to sacrifice things that everyone finds interesting, that most people want to do during that entire season of their life. And they basically sacrifice a season of other things that they would prefer to do stuff that they would not prefer to do because of the one thing they want most. And that's the Rocky cutscene. And instead of lasting 5 minutes, it just usually lasts 5 or 10 minutes.